Okay, so we are recording tonight, so I'll go ahead and get started. I'll put this up on our website or a link through the newsletter, so if anybody missed out, they can review it later. Welcome to our first first membership meeting of 2025. My name is Maren Setterquist, and I'm the newly elected president. With us tonight, we will hopefully have most of our other board members. We have Mitch Ehrlich. He's here. He's our treasurer. Our first VP is Kathleen Almoslino. Our second VP is Jose Salcido. We have our secretary, Mary Fox. Our president emeritus, Deanna Merzadagan. And our other board members are Pierluigi Oliverio, Helen Hutchings, and Anna Maria Russo. So hopefully most of them will be on here tonight as well. Tonight, we're going to just talk about a few events coming up, introduce Michael Mulcahy and Captain Ken Tran, and then talk about what you as neighbors and members of this community would like to see happen in Willow Glen for 2025. It can be just a big general idea. It can be a specific request that you'd like to see the neighborhood association get into. Whatever you're thinking, I put a 1-minute limit on it in case we had 100 people on here. If we don't have that many people, I'll let you talk a little bit more. I'm going to save answers to questions if there are any for the end, so I'll take a few notes. If I don't get to your question or you have more that you want to say, you're always welcome to email. The best email address, I'll put it on here on the board too, is membership.wgna@gmail.com. So you can always ask questions, send us more information or more of your thoughts there. So just real briefly, while we're waiting for more people to come on, I wanted to let you know we are going to have a bunch of neighborhood watch programs hopefully pop up in Willow Glen. The first one I've done is actually for 2 streets in Willow Glen, Kotenberg and Curtis. We've chosen those just because I live on Kotenberg, and I want to have a chance to experience the program myself so I can answer all your questions as the other streets start to join the program. Then February 18th, we're going to have a general membership meeting in person, and there will be a 30-minute neighborhood watch program overview presentation by the safety officer for San Jose Police Department. So she will go over what you have to do to get a neighborhood watch program on your street or a couple streets around you. Then I just wanted to mention Willow Glen Business Association events coming up. And I put those in the newsletter. So if you're on this call, that means you got the newsletter. So I'll let you look at that for more detail. But the most recent one coming up is February 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. We have a night on the avenue, and they're calling it an evening of exclusive promotions, giveaways, and refreshments. So hope everybody will head downtown for that. Next on the agenda is I want to give a big congratulations and a welcome to our new District 6 council member, Michael Mulcahy.
Thanks, Maren. I appreciate it. And it was a long process, but really excited to serve the district. And I think this is my first neighborhood association conversation since being elected. And so I think that's fitting, and I appreciate the invitation to come tonight. And Maren and I spoke, and I think we'll just do some, kind of just a few minutes of introduction to what we've been working on over the last couple of weeks while new to the office. And then sort of post this meeting with the feedback that you're going to be providing to the board this evening, and then also having an opportunity to work with the 2 police captains that really sort of cover this area, Captain Tran, who you'll hear from after me, but then also Captain Donahue, who handles sort of the southern area of, kind of what we think of as Willow Glen. and then be best prepared to address some specific items that the board crafts for us in February, and then also have an opportunity for a Q&A. And so I just, wanted to, first of all, thank the board. I know how important good board leadership is, especially for a neighborhood association. So thanks to Marin for stepping up, and Kathleen, Jose, Mitchell, Mary for serving as board officers, but then also immediate past chair Deanna and Pierluigi, Helen and Anna for serving and rounding out the board. It's not easy to put yourself out there to do this kind of work, and this is a very engaged neighborhood. I certainly know that from my years of Willow Glen, and certainly from the campaign, and know that they need your support just as much as you need theirs. So thank you for your service. So day one for me was January 6th, formally sworn in last Tuesday, January 14th. Just today, the final pieces of our staff started at City Hall, and we are going through the process to really kind of put people in positions of responsibility. And I'm saying to you now, we're going to be present at these meetings regularly. I will be personally as involved as I can be. The good news is that District 6 has a whole lot of active neighborhood associations, and not all of them coordinate with each other to have them on different nights. So we're going to do our best to cover the bases and be as responsive as we can be. I think it's going to be important for us to have intervening conversations and be prepared at board meetings, so we know that kind of what's a buzz, and where our office might be able to be helpful in answering questions when we do attend. So that sort of goes with that idea of, for the February meeting, as I talked about before, it's making sure that we're kind of all on the same page, Marin and board, so that we're addressing what's kind of hot and coming up. And look, I've taken on an awesome responsibility, and I know that not all of the circumstances are going to be awesome. And I would, ask for a little bit of grace and patience as we sort of get prepared to serve you well. When I think about people on this call, like a Pierluigi Oliverio, had great, service to our constituency, and we're going to do our best to rise to that occasion as well. One thing to note, because I know, Marin, that you mentioned it, San Jose Unified School District is going through a post-Measure R approval during the last ballot of identifying 1 out of 4 sites in where they will locate teacher housing. And I think tonight was the first of the meetings that they're convening to an ultimate decision that the board of San Jose Unified would make at the latter part of February. So the process, as we understand it, has just begun. And again, it's ultimately their board will choose 1 of 4 sites, 2 of which are in District 6, and I believe the other 2 are in District 9, if I'm not mistaken. But so that would be one kind of hot item that I know that some people have attended that meeting this evening. So with that, I'll end, but I just want to thank you again for the association's work, and I look forward to the next number of years working with you. And again, thanks to the board for having me on this evening.
Thank you, Michael. I look forward to working with you as well. Next up, I want to introduce Captain Ken Tran. It's been great to communicate with him since our last meeting. I've reached out to him about a couple issues in the neighborhood, and he's been very responsive. So we're happy to have you looking over our neighborhood, Captain.
Thank you very much. And if you don't mind, I'll just give everyone just a brief update on the type of calls or what's been going on out there in the neighborhood since our last meeting on December 19th.
Great.
It should take a minute or two. So I pull up the data, and for the past month, we've had a total of 1,400 calls for service out there in the neighborhood. 22% of those calls were low level call for service. We call them priority 3 and 4. Majority of those calls were like a welfare check. Someone seeing someone stand on the street with a sign, or they appear to be maybe intoxicated, what have you, and they call it in. So 22% of those calls were those type of calls. Yet about 15% of the calls were what we consider disturbance calls. Some of those could be family disturbance, or could be a simple intoxicated person. What I find interesting is that 22%, the other 22% were actually police initiated contacts out there. We were out there doing traffic enforcement. We were out there on foot patrol in the neighborhood, and that resulted in about 4 arrests last month. So if you're looking at comparison, you have equal, in addition to call for service, you have equal volume of officers being out there, being proactive, being on foot patrol, doing traffic enforcement out there. So that's great. There's no robberies. We didn't have any. No homicide, obviously. We had about 29 burglaries. That's about 2% of our call for service. And we had about 29 theft calls. A majority of those were from Target and the Walgreens in the neighborhood. Look at everything else here. Yeah, overall, I mean, we a good 37% of our call only resulted in 1 arrest. That means a majority of those calls were just minor offenses, nothing major for the last month.
Thank you for the report. That sounds like mostly good news. The numbers are a little alarming. There's so many incidents, but I'm glad to hear they're low level and the arrest number is low. So that means people were checked on, but it wasn't serious enough to have to put them in jail.
No, and I will tell you, when I looked at the number, I was a little bit concerned too. So then let me look at the next neighborhood equal to size, just east of us, and it turned out when I looked, they had 5 times the number of volume of call for service. So
Wow.
yes, so I feel pretty good about where we're at.
Excellent. And one of the things that I contacted you about this last month was there was a homeless man who was living in front of Vinsanto for a while and yelling at people. And I ran by there the other night and he's all cleared out. So thank you for taking care of that.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. We'll have you back in February when we're in person.
Great. Thank you very much. It was very
All right.
nice meeting everyone.
Thank you, Captain. All right, we'll go on to the next segment, and that's what I wanted to spend most of our time on tonight, which is hearing from you. So I would like to know, keeping in mind what our focus is going to be this year is the safety, the beauty, and the community of Willow Glen. What would you like to see in general, in particular? We just want to hear your thoughts. So what I'll do is we'll keep everybody muted. And if you have something you want to say, if you can either raise your hand like I am now, or use the reaction button at the bottom of your Zoom and hit that to raise your hand, then I'll call at people and unmute you one at a time. So we will get started with whoever wants to raise their hand. If nobody raises their hand, then we're good. We can say goodnight. We're done. Oh my goodness, no hands, really? Everybody just wants to hear what everybody else is saying or thinking?
Do you think it might be helpful to talk about, I mean, because there may be some folks that maybe are new or have been around a while, maybe give them an update on what we've at least been doing in the last couple of years and things that were at least prior, in other times we talked about doing. That might give some folks some good ideas.
Sure, that sounds great. So as far as safety, My focus this year is going to be, I've already mentioned it a little bit, is neighborhood watch programs. I think it's one of the best ways to keep the neighborhood safe is to have neighbors involved in looking out for each other, keeping an eye on the street. So trying to get as many streets on the neighborhood watch program as possible is one of my goals. Inviting Captain Tran to our meetings to give us monthly reports on what's going on. So he's available to answer questions, give us the statistics. So we're in the know of what's going on. I think the more aware we are, the more we can respond to things. As far as beauty, some of the things we've done is in past years, we've funded having art boxes painted. So that's those utility boxes, usually near a street light, where we've had artists come out and paint those to keep the neighborhood beautiful. We've hosted dumpster days so people can bring the junk out of their yards and their houses and come get rid of it. That helps keep the neighborhood beautiful. We've done some cleanups a few weeks ago. I joined San Jose Beautify to clean up the iris garden on Three Creeks Trail. We did lots of weeding, cut back a lot of the ivy along the fence there, and made that area look a lot nicer. I know Mitch has done tons of cleaning up around his neighborhood, so cleaning up the area is definitely an emphasis. Deanna, actually, our past president, started a kindness garden at Wallenberg Park, and we've had lots of volunteers painting rocks with nice, kind messages on them and plant flowers there and really beautify that area of the park. Mitch, what else am I missing in beautification?
Yeah, what else are we missing? Well, if we focus on, just those things, I think you've covered it, and I know we have some ideas in the works. Obviously, we've done, we've been hosting and putting together the National Night Out every year, which has really been a neat thing, especially once we moved it over to the park off of Willow. And
Yeah, so I'd put that under
Mhm.
community. That is
Yeah.
one of the biggest events that we've done, actually our biggest event. So held at Willow Street, Bramall Park. We have food trucks come out. We have a live band. We have some games for the kids. We've done a rock painting there. We have the police out. National Night Out is designed to bring the community together with law enforcement. So you get to know your local police officers, build some rapport with them. It's a place to bring the kids so that they're not afraid of police and that's a friendly atmosphere. They will usually bring out their big I don't know what's it called, a Bearcat or something, big Humvee looking type thing. Kids can climb on it. So it's just a great community event. People come out and mingle with their neighbors. The other thing I'm going to do as far as community this year is have many more in-person meetings. I would like to try to meet once a month and have the majority of those be in person. So tonight I didn't have time to get a venue, but also I wanted people to be to feel comfortable speaking up and not put them on spot in person. Also, I know a lot of people can't always make it in person. So while I was soliciting neighbor feedback, I wanted to have this via Zoom so I could hear from more people. But I want to have most of our meetings done in person. I think that it bonds people in the community more when you see each other eye to eye instead of just texting and social media stuff back and forth. So, Jose, let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I was just thinking or wanted to encourage, hopefully everyone's aware of the 311 app. Encourage people to download that onto their phones so that they can report all kinds of things, graffiti, illegal dumping, vehicle concerns, all those things help the neighborhood get cleaned up. And it is a very responsive app. They will respond and let you know your particular case. They not only document it, but they let you know when it's closed and when it's been resolved. So hopefully everybody's using that. That was it.
Thanks, Jose. I used that twice this week. I used it for a big dumping ground that has happened on the Los Gatos Creek Trail, just on the other side of Meridian. There was just a heap of garbage bags and all kinds of trash around a homeless encampment by a sign that we're actually going to rehabilitate as the neighborhood association in the next couple months. So I asked them to clean that up. And I did get a response saying that they are on it. The other one was, I love to run on the Three Creeks Trail. And unfortunately, since the new bridge, the beautiful new bridge has opened, I've not felt safe running over it. There's always a homeless encampment right on the other side. They've now completely taken over the bridge and have spread over to this side of the neighborhood. So it's unfortunate that they've taken over the creek, and it's not a friendly place to hang out anymore. So, Mr. Mulcahy, hopefully that's something we can work on.
Yeah, could I say something? So
Please.
I'm an avid user of 311 as well, and one of the things that I've sort of elevated, and we're sort of getting some good feedback around it being something they're working on, which is, I don't know if you've had the experience where you go through the process of filing it, then you get a case closed, and then you go drive by it and the case is not closed, because in your mind that means it's done. I see all these heads nodding. So trying to sort of reciprocate the responsibility where we as individuals are filing these reports, sort of the return should be some level of evidence, if you will, that your case is in fact not just closed, but it's completed. So that's something that I think will be even more motivating for people if they had evidence that the effort that they put in, actually led to a solution. So the other piece is trying to make it less clunky, so that you probably have the experience where you're loading a photo in, but if you've got an iPhone 15 or higher, it's a high-res photo. Apparently that has now been resolved, so it doesn't kick you out because you've got too high of a megabit photo. And then the other piece is the identifying location. Sometimes you're at a traffic signal and you see a graffiti or you see some illegal dumping, and then you're off on your way, but you've got a photo, but gosh, I can't remember where I took that photo. If you don't have the address, it's hard to reconnect it. So there's a couple of things that, me as, as a user that I provided, but we've also heard from a lot of, constituents about those same things. So what I'm asking is, if you're a user of 311 and you just have a miserable experience, please let our office know, because we want to make it, now I know that not all of the services are as quick to respond. The abandoned vehicles, some of those other things are more difficult to manage than a traffic light that's out or a street light that's out. So, but on those routine things that you report, if you're having trouble, the system's clunky, let our office know, because we want real-time user experience as we talk to city staff on improving it.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. I did want to let you know I did get a case closed, but I also had an additional message in there that said other people have reported it. So I'm curious if maybe the original post for that stays open till it's resolved and the others are closed just because they're repetitive or redundant. So that's one question I have.
Don't know the answer, and
Okay.
but it's a good one. And the other thing is, we are due to be getting kind of an overall 311 report for District 6. We have not seen that yet, but that'll be something interesting certainly for us, and whether we can tell from that, but we'll pose that question that you just raised.
And the second observation I have in the city responses is this last one where I reported the homeless encampments on the bridge, is I got a response saying that this is the responsibility of the water district. So they kind of passed on that one. So we'll invite some water district people out to one of our meetings coming up, maybe.
Thank you for that. That's good to know.
Yeah. Jose?
I'll follow up with an email, Michael, to your district. But one of the things that I've frustrations with 311, when for some weird reason it like forgets you and you have to re-sign in. And then I'll sit there and I'll put in my email and it says, oh, you have to reset your password. We just sent you a link. And then when I go to my email, and this has been going on for now 6 days, and I've yet to get that link. I don't know if that's a glitch. Now I do use my city email, so I don't know if that's a part of the problem.
You can't use your city email for 311. You cannot be a member if you use the sanjoseca.gov. My whole staff just figured that out the other day. So I use my personal.
Okay. All right. Oh, that explains it. Thank you, Michael. I'll go to my personal then and set up a new account. I've been doing it for years with the city email, and it wasn't a problem. I was hoping maybe if they saw it was a city email, they'd react quicker, but clearly they don't like it when we're sending it. So that's fine. I'll do a personal one.
So Jose, I actually had to reset my email as well, and it took me about 3 days to realize maybe I should check my spam filter. So I used my Gmail and it did end up in spam. So that's another thing to maybe let people know if they're not getting the reset code to check their spam folder.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Nicholas, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
There we
Great.
go. Thank you. I just wanted to share a recent experience I had with 311. I live over in the Dry Creek area, and there has been I'm not sure if it's pronounced Gatan or Gayton Drive, right on the south side of the Meridian Post Office, right near the Atria Willow Glen Senior Center. There are 3 very junky RVs with stuff stacked everywhere on the sidewalk, on the street. And I went on 311, I took pictures, did all the stuff, downloaded it, uploaded it, ran into some height problems or size problems that Michael referenced, and finally pared it down, got it to work. And by the time I submitted everything, it came back and it said, oh, a case on this, because you had to do a pin drop and get it located, and it's a little bit clunky, and you finally get it worked out. And it came back and said, oh, a case has already been submitted. If you'd like to follow the reports on this, please go to your dashboard and look at previous reports. So I said, okay, fine. So I went and did that, and there's no report to be found anywhere. Mine didn't download. Nor was any other case reports available. So I engaged the chat bot, and after being on hold for 10 or 15 minutes, they said, what can we do? And I explained the situation. They came back and said, it should be there. And I said, yeah, I know it should be, but it ain't. And they go, well, you're going to have to submit a tech thing. So I've now gone off to the city into the labyrinthine of the IT department to find out why the reports on the previous cases aren't appearing there and what happened to mine. So that's my experience thus far. It's not particularly satisfactory. And of course, more to the point is those things have been parked there for months. And if I had elderly parents living in the Atria Senior Center across the street, I wouldn't be real happy about that. So that's all I have to say about that.
Marin, I believe you're on mute. And thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else have thoughts they'd like to share?
We do, but we're not able to raise our hand. There's not a hand option for some reason. But Helen wanted to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Helen.
Hi, just on the 311 app and on specifically on the Trestle Bridge that you said you called in. So I've reported that several times, and I had a long conversation yesterday or the day before with a gentleman who was walking on the trail with me, and he said that he has made numerous calls to the mayor's office, emails and phone calls, and I don't know that he used the 311 app, but I did, and we haven't gotten any results on that at all or any kind of feedback. So I'm wondering, did you get a report number? You know, did you get any feedback on that other than just it's a water district? Because you could see that there's a tent that's right off the trail. It's not just down in the river.
Yeah. Let me, I can pull up actually exactly what they told me. Okay, yeah, I got a case number, and then they said, please note this service is not provided by the city of San Jose. Please contact the agency below for more information. The Santa Clara the Santa Clara Valley Water District is the primary water resource agency for Santa Clara County, supplying wholesale water, providing flood protection, and serving as environmental steward for clean, safe creeks and healthy ecosystems. Then
Mayor,
they give me,
that's a lack of oversight because the city owns the bridge and the land on both sides. So it's someone not understanding where the encampment is. It's not in the waterway. It's on the land and the bridge, which is city.
okay,
Right.
great. Thanks for the clarification. I'll reply with that information and have them revisit it.
Okay.
Maren,
the other thing-
would you forward that email to Chris?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gotten this, we have a ton of pictures and, you know, evidence of where it is. And even though it's been reported on 311, it's, you know, gone beyond that in terms of an issue, and the city is aware of it. So.
Okay.
Great. I would love to see if we could, there's a commercial building right on the other side of the bridge, kind of right at where it turns a corner going towards downtown. I would love to put like a floodlight up there or something that would hopefully deter people from sleeping at the creek right on that corner there.
Not a bad idea.
I don't like to sleep in bright lights, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently they've actually built their tents over the walkway that leads down to the river, that's attached to the bridge. So, you know, maybe they wouldn't even see the light. I don't know, but yeah, as long as it's being addressed, because, you know, it was abated for some time and it's fully engulfed, in tents and other structures now. So, yeah, as long as it, gets addressed, that's great. And then when you're ready, we'll give you a little update on the meeting that we attended over at River Glen School.
Okay, thanks, Helen.
Mhm.
Any other community members have concerns, thoughts, brilliant ideas?
I was just gonna say, District 6 as a whole, it's a mess. And I'm not afraid to say that Dev left it a mess. And so there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. We need somebody who's going to actually start caring about our neighborhoods. So I'm glad that you're here, Michael and Chris. And I would just suggest doing a drive around the city, drive around to certain areas, then take a look at, you know, all of D6. Do a drive around and start noticing what's going on and how we're being impacted by the homeless and everything else. It's pretty bad. And so that would be my only suggestion, since we have you on tonight. And that's it. And then, yeah, when you want to address the other teacher housing stuff, we'll talk to that.
Thanks,
Okay,
Kathleen.
anybody else have a hand up? Have any thoughts? The Day household.
Good evening,
Do you-
everyone. Thanks for having us. I wanted to go back to how you started this, the safety, beauty, and community in Willow Glen. I think we love that about Willow Glen. We love downtown, and we frequently walk through it pretty much daily with our young one. And I think we wanted to just focus a bit on pedestrian safety. There's a lot of double parking that's going on in the bike lane, pushing bikers into the roadway there along through downtown. A lot of red light running as well on Minnesota and Willow when cars are commuting east and west through the downtown district. And I think it's important to protect the pedestrians that like to walk and use our downtown area. That's so pedestrian friendly, getting people to use the local businesses and restaurants and enjoying the area that we call home. So that's something that we've noticed a lot recently and think it would be a good focal point.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Just to ask you, when you say there's red light running, is that down Lincoln or down Minnesota?
All directions.
Okay,
Both.
both. All right.
All,
Oh, you've seen it too, Michael?
oh
Or
yes,
heard of it?
this is a big on the radar right now for sure.
Okay.
The DoorDash drivers and the illegal, U-turns and, we've got heavy trucks that, use Lincoln Avenue, a lot of issues relative to those kinds of things. There are a couple of, crosswalk modifications that were awarded in the last budget cycle that are in process. We'll get an update on that and when they're going to happen, some upgrading of lights and so forth. But there's got to be more done, certainly with all of the issues Mr. Day just talked about.
Okay, great. I'll put that on Captain Tran's agenda for next month too. We'll get
and
some
he and I are going to
input
be
from him.
talking about that before next February.
Okay, fabulous. It's just the kind of stuff we want. We want to know what the issues are that we need to work on. Because I know Kathleen feels like Willow Glen is a whole, but I feel like it is an amazing place to live, even in spite of our challenges. I wouldn't be president of the neighborhood association if I didn't think it was a great place.
No, I think we have real challenges that we need to attack, and of course I love Willow Glen. And then I would also mention that I don't know if this is something that you can do, Michael, but I asked Deb a while back, and it could be just I don't know, too expensive, but one of the suggestions I had was the crosswalks, having them coincide with the intersection lights, traffic lights. So when traffic's going, it's going smoothly. When it's green, then people aren't crossing across the crosswalks. And then if the light is red at the intersection, then people who are crossing across on Lincoln, then I don't know if that's possible, something you can look into, but it would help the flow of traffic, and I think make it a little safer on the avenue. Thanks.
Thanks, Kathleen. Okay, anybody else have some input, ideas? Okay, Helen and Kathleen, if you want to tell us a little bit about the meeting that you already went to, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, we went to the meeting, just for those who don't know the context. We went to the meeting at River Glen School because that is one of 4 potential locations that they want to make for school personnel housing. So it's not just for teachers, it's for any San Jose Unified employee. So there's 4 potential sites that it's been wheedled down to. That school on Broadway, River Glen, the two-way immersion school, is one of them. So we went to the meeting just to see, what that committee was up to and what they were going to talk about. They had it's their committee meeting, and they were having an agenda, but it was packed. The cafeteria there was packed with people who were really, really in opposition to their using that campus for teacher housing. I mean, there were many people who explained that they are in favor of attempting to create some housing for teachers. I think they kept saying teachers, maybe they weren't paying attention. That was also for overall for employees that are employed by the school district, but they were focusing on the teachers. But I would say, I can easily say 100% of the speakers, and we were there for an hour and saw 10 to 12 speakers, and also a big angry crowd in the audience who were absolutely opposed to using that site because many of them were parents, of course, whose children attend that school, and they have a nice little community there. And then many of the speakers and people in the audience were people who live in the neighborhood and think that it would be so adversely impacted as far as the traffic and the parking and just the congestion in the neighborhood. So overall, that was the what we came away with, is there was a very strong opposition to using that site for teacher housing.
And the if I may, the people there felt like that they didn't engage the community at all. So the people that were there were surprised by the project, had no idea, and said that they didn't get any outreach. I spoke real quickly. I suggested by getting info from PLO that there is the 4 different sites, and there are some, there's sites that are bigger and better. One on Hillsdale that has access to the light rail station, and it seems like you would be spending, you'd be making a smaller project, stuffing it into that spot at River Glen, as opposed to having a nice big lot near Hillsdale that would maximize the units that they could get for teacher or San Jose Unified staff housing. That was the other thing. There was no guaranteed teacher housing. It was just San Jose staff in general, San Jose Unified staff in general.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people read the notes on it and knew that, but I think that probably the word for the audience there was they were incensed that they hadn't been included in this discussion of these sites earlier. And I think yeah, it's going to be a sticking point if they try to choose that location for this housing.
They were pretty angry, actually.
They were yelling and interrupting.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Thanks for thanks for letting us know, Helen and Kathleen. I don't know if Michael or Chris or Pierluigi could answer this. My understanding is that this is school, it's San Jose Unified District property. And so they, with the measure or passage, are allowed to build whatever they want there. Is that true or not true?
Well, if no one's going to chime in, it depends. So the recent property tax that San Jose Unified passed would pay for construction. However, it depends what law they use, if it requires city approval or not. So that just depends if they're going to use a state law to circumvent the city, or they're going to submit a plan that will then require city council approval.
Okay, so it sounds like it remains to be seen.
Right.
Okay. Thanks. Well, if we hear of other meetings, we'll publish them with our neighborhood association newsletter and let people know if community meetings come up so that everybody can go and speak their voice, whether it's
And just the other site in District 6 is there on Lenzen, which is where the San Jose Unified offices are. There's a residual piece of property they have there that would be more similar to some of the other residential properties over there. It would be a mid-rise type of building as opposed to more townhome layout at the River Glen site that they were proposing this evening or talking about this evening.
Great. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to discuss this evening?
Want to say, Helen, thanks for the update on and for attending, for letting us know.
Sorry, we're muted. You're welcome. It was our pleasure. It was fun, Chris.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I think I will go ahead and adjourn the general meeting. I'll ask the board members to stay on, as well as Trudy and Zoe. Otherwise, thank you everybody for attending, speaking your voice, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Have a nice rest of your evening.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you.
Congrats, Maren.
Thanks,
Yes,
Chris.
welcome.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Michael.
See you all soon. Bye.
Michael and Chris. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Good night.